Hello, and welcome back to the Circular Economy Excellent podcast. Today, I am together with AI-driven minds exploring my book's chapter 3 that I call 1 plus 5 R's, the blueprint for circular manufacturing. Though this chapter is relatively brief, it plays a big role as an introduction to part 2, embracing circularity in manufacturing. My name is Henrik Hvid Jensen. In this section, I lay out the 1 plus 5R model, my practical approach for manufacturers who want to not only discuss circular economy principles, but also build profitable, sustainable models around them. While the circular economy is often discussed with a 9R framework, I zeroed in on the 5 R's that offer the strongest business value for manufacturers. As you listen, keep this in mind. The journey to circularity requires manufacturers to rethink not just products, but entire value chains, ensuring every component serves a purpose beyond its initial use. Stick around for a lively chat between our AI co-hosts as they discuss how these 1 plus 5 R's from redistribute to remanufacture can help you transition from outdated linear methods to a future-proof circular model. Enjoy the conversation and get ready to discover how this blueprint sets the tone for the rest of part 2.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be diving into something I find super fascinating, circular manufacturing. You guys sent in chapter 3 from this book, Circular Economy Opportunities and Pathways for Manufacturers, by Henrik H. Hvid Jensen. And it looks like it's a whole lot more than just recycling, from what I've been reading.
Yeah, it really is. Jensen, in this chapter, introduces this idea of the 1 plus 5 R's framework.
1 plus 5 R's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's sort of a roadmap for manufacturers to move away from that old model of take, make, dispose, and really rethink how we design and use products.
So 1 plus 5 R's. Break it down for me. Break it down for our listener. What's the 1? What are the 5? How do they all fit together?
So the 1 is the core principle. Redesign and reinvent. That's the 1.
Okay.
It's about shifting away from making products that are, designed to become obsolete and towards products that are designed to last, to be repaired, to be upgraded. And then the 5 are like actions that support this. So we have redistribute, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, and then finally the one we're all familiar with, recycle.
So it's like a cycle, right?
Right.
You design a product to be durable and adaptable, and then you find ways to keep it circulating in the economy through these different R's, so it's not just ending up in a landfill after a few years.
Exactly. So, for example, let's take redistribute.
Okay.
This could look like a company leasing out its products instead of selling them outright.
Okay.
So once the user no longer needs it, it goes back to the company, who can then lease it to someone else, keeping that product in use for much longer.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And then repair, I think, is fairly straightforward. I mean, we've all experienced the frustration of something breaking and just being impossible to fix.
Right.
But if you design products with repair in mind from the start, that could completely change the game. What about refurbish and remanufacture? Those seem kind of similar. What's the difference?
Yeah, you've hit on a common point of confusion.
Okay.
Refurbishing is kind of like giving a product a spa day. Cleaning it up, replacing some worn parts, getting it back into good working condition. Think like a used car, getting a new paint job, a little engine work. Remanufacturing is more intense. It's like a complete overhaul. So the product is completely disassembled, parts are cleaned, repaired, or replaced, and then it's basically put back together to be like new.
Oh, okay. So refurbishing is giving it a second life. Remanufacturing is giving it a whole new life.
That's one way to put it.
So we've gone through all the R's. And this is clearly, to me, a lot more involved than just slapping a recyclable label on something.
Yeah.
But I have to wonder, how realistic is all of this? It sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Well, that's where the next piece of the puzzle comes in.
Okay.
Logistics service providers, or LSPs, they're the ones who are going to make this whole circular system flow smoothly.
All right, LSPs. I'll admit, logistics isn't usually the most exciting topic.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's about to get a lot more interesting.
For sure. In the circular economy, LSPs aren't just moving boxes around. They become key partners in managing the entire life cycle of a product.
Okay.
We're going to delve into their role in more detail in just a bit.
So LSPs, they're going to be managing the whole life cycle of a product in this circular economy.
That's right.
I mean, are we talking like from the moment it leaves the factory all the way to maybe like, I don't know, its eventual breakdown for materials?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, think about it. Products and materials are always on the move in a circular economy. So first, it might go from a factory to a consumer,
Okay.
then back to the factory for refurbishment, or maybe to a different consumer, and then finally to a facility where it can be disassembled and materials recovered.
Okay, so that is a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
LSPs have to be pretty good multitaskers to keep up with all that.
Yeah.
What kind of new skills and services are we talking about here? Like, how do they actually make this whole thing work?
Well, for one thing, they need to become masters of what's called reverse logistics.
Reverse logistics.
Yeah, basically managing the flow of products moving backward through the supply chain, which is not easy.
No, I imagine not.
And it's going to require some pretty high-tech systems for keeping track of where everything is, what condition the products are in. They'll have to figure out the most efficient routes for pickup and delivery. They might even need to start working closely with manufacturers during the design phase.
Oh, interesting.
Make sure that products are easy to transport, repair, and disassemble.
So it sounds like manufacturers and LSPs, they really have to be like best friends, partners in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Manufacturers designing products with circularity in mind from the get-go, and then the LSPs creating this whole infrastructure and know-how to keep those products moving, round and round.
It's definitely a partnership. And, this isn't just good for the environment, it's good for business, too.
Right. Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more. How does becoming more circular actually benefit a company's bottom line? Because it does sound like there would be a lot of, upfront investment required to make this happen.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not going to happen overnight. It really requires a change in thinking and a change in how companies operate. But the payoff can be huge.
Okay.
So first of all, think about all the raw materials that companies use.
Right.
Those are getting more and more expensive. They're getting harder to find.
Sure.
But with circularity, manufacturers can start to rely less on those virgin raw materials.
Okay, so you're saving money, you're avoiding potential supply chain issues. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. What other benefits are we talking about?
Well, companies can actually create new revenue streams.
Okay.
By offering repair, refurbishment, and remanufacturing services.
Interesting.
So what used to be considered waste suddenly becomes a valuable asset.
Very clever. What about public image? I mean, do you think that plays a role as well?
Definitely. These days, consumers really care about sustainability.
Yeah.
And they want to support businesses that are taking it seriously.
So it's a win-win.
Right.
Good for the planet, good for business. It's not just about existing companies changing how they do things,
Yeah.
right? This could actually create whole new industries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about all the new businesses and jobs that could be created around repair, remanufacturing, recycling.
Wow.
It's like a whole new economy emerging, one that's designed to regenerate resources and be more resilient.
So it's not just tweaking things. It's really about a fundamental shift in how our entire economy works.
Exactly. It's not just a passing fad.
Okay.
This is a major transformation, and it's going to reshape manufacturing for decades to come.
Wow. And I think what's really cool is it's already starting to happen.
It is.
We're seeing companies, manufacturers all over the world are starting to adopt circular practices, and LSPs are right there with them, making it happen.
Yeah, they're key partners in this.
Okay, so this is big picture stuff. Let's bring it back down to earth for a minute. What does all this mean for, like, our listener, How can they connect with these ideas in their own lives, whether they work in manufacturing or not?
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it helps to think about what we can do as individuals. So whether you're a manufacturer, work in logistics, or, just going about your daily life, there are things you can do.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, start by asking yourself, how can I make the things I already own last longer?
Okay,
Can I fix things myself instead of throwing them away?
gotcha.
Next time I need something, can I buy it used or lease it instead of buying new?
Okay.
It all comes down to being mindful of our consumption habits and finding ways to reduce our impact. It's really a shift in mindset, making different choices.
So starting small,
Uh-huh.
starting with our own habits.
Exactly.
What about for folks who have more influence, like a CEO or a business leader?
Yeah.
What should they be thinking about in terms of circularity?
Well, that's where it gets really exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who can actually start incorporating circularity into their business models.
Oh, interesting.
So thinking about how they design their products, how they manage their supply chains, how they can partner with those LSPs to make it all happen. And the great thing is there's so much information out there to help them get started.
That's awesome. Well, this chapter that we've been exploring today from Jensen's book, it's like a perfect jumping off point for all of this. Lays out this framework, gives a bunch of really interesting examples.
Yeah.
It can definitely spark those aha moments,
Yeah, it really does.
and get people excited about, what they can actually do. This has been a great discussion.
Yeah, I agree. We've only just scratched the surface.
Sure.
But I hope it's encouraged people to learn more
Definitely.
and explore how they can be part of this change.
Well said. We'll be right back to wrap things up and leave you with a final thought to ponder. So we've been talking all about circular manufacturing, really getting deep into it, redesigning products, new ways of thinking about logistics, just completely rethinking, like you said, that whole life cycle of all the stuff we use.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see just how much interest there is in this whole idea. People are really starting to get it, that this old linear model, the take, make, dispose, it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and I think what really struck me about Jensen's 1+5 Rs framework is that it's so much more than just recycling, right? It's about moving away from that whole mindset of use it and lose it, and instead embracing a whole new way of thinking about resources.
Absolutely. You put it perfectly. It's almost like we're shifting from a mindset of scarcity to this mindset of abundance. We can keep using things over and over again, and that creates value at every single stage.
So many possibilities. As we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave our listeners with a question to really think about. Imagine a future where products are designed to last, like indefinitely, constantly evolving, adapting to new needs. What would that mean for how much we buy, how we think about the things we own? Would we even think about ownership the same way?
Whoa, that's a big one. In that kind of world, maybe we wouldn't think about owning things outright so much as, I don't know, maybe it'd be more about access, right?
Yeah.
Or usership. Maybe we'd start to look for things that last a long time, can be fixed up, instead of always wanting the newest thing.
Yeah, and maybe, you never know, maybe we'd see people really caring about craftsmanship again, appreciating things that are well-made and built to last.
We're already starting to see some of those shifts happening, but imagine if everything, right from the start, was designed to last that long.
It's pretty exciting to think about a future where, sustainability and prosperity, they just go together. And Jensen's book, it really lays out how we could get there. So I hope everyone listening will check out the rest of the book, keep learning about this whole idea of circular manufacturing.
I second that. It's a journey worth taking, for sure, for what you can learn and for how it can change the world.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into some world-changing ideas. Until then, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the limits of what's possible.
I hope you found that discussion enlightening. Chapter 3 underscores how the 1+5 R model can transform manufacturing processes into enduring, value-rich cycles. If you're intrigued by what you heard, remember you can grab a copy of my book to dive even deeper into these principles. And I'll also keep sharing fresh insights on this evolving business model at circularpathwaysbook.com. Thank you for turning into circular economy excellence. I look forward to continuing our journey together as we uncover more ways to embrace circularity and unlock new growth possibilities. Until next time, keep moving toward a future where every product and every part of that product continues to serve a valuable purpose.